Hello and welcome to the Mike Reynolds Podcast, episode number 9. My name is Stephen Aruda, your host, aka Mike Reynolds, and this is, as always, Mr. Christian Miller. How are you?
There we go. Doing good on the pod number 9. Excited.
Halfway through the course.
Yeah, something like that. But yeah.
What in the world do we have to talk about? We have a lot to talk about today. 2019 is kind of what we're covering. We just kind of came off of 2018 from the from the last episode. Very event heavy.
Yes.
In that one, we were
you were kind of taking some chances on these events and stuff, from the Podfest to all that stuff, finding out what works, what doesn't work.
Yep.
And
if it says anything, I haven't been back to any of those since. I'm considering USITT again, just because it's like we are doing a lot more stuff with Division I schools and theaters and stuff, and just it'd be good to be like, hey, we're still here.
For sure. Yeah, we were really close to going this year, but just timing, it just didn't make sense.
Yeah, schedules with families suck.
Yeah.
Not that part. It's hard to schedule things around.
Maybe if they go back to Fort Lauderdale, maybe we'd, make an excuse to go to.
I'm bringing the Speedo. We're going. Oh, my goodness. Yeah, so just thinking about 2019, 2018, what's funny is just it kind of became this little bit of a slingshot where you discovering the things where you shouldn't be, and then kind of focusing on exactly where we should be. Because preparing for this episode, I'm going back looking at photos and whatnot, and just like, man, there was these gaps where it's all family stuff. I'm not doing too much other than just like stuff here, but I didn't really go anywhere between January and May. So definitely a different year all around coming up. So,
dude, I'm excited to dig into it. But let's start by talking about our microphone choices of today. So we jump back. We've done some funky mics. We've done some interesting mics, but now we're kind of back into like a podcasting kind of mic. So what do you have, Steven?
I am on the EV RE20. If you don't recognize this mic, most likely you've been under a audio rock, living under an audio rock.
If you look at Steven right now, he looks like he's doing the herd with Colin Cowherd right now.
That's an RE27 ND.
Oh, nice.
Oh, I know that by heart.
I know the color's similar, so.
It's funny. I don't know. You might be too young for this, but there was a show called WKRP in Cincinnati, and
I've heard so.
I think they were on these.
Yeah, I only know of that show because of Matt Lewis, who previously interviewed. Is just a fan of everything that's like beyond his years, like
bosom buddies,
all the '80s stuff. Even though he's a '90s kid, so
that's great. So these RE20. You're on the what?
The RE320.
It's funny. I didn't even know that mic existed. It's fairly new. This is the first mic. This came out in like 1968. It's 5 years older than the SM7B.
Wow, that's like a year older than my dad.
It's a year older than my brother.
Nice.
Hey, didn't know that. Nice. And that mic, it's funny. I don't even know when that came out, but it was very new when I started Mike Reynolds, and I kind of looked into it. What's kind of other than what's unique about that?
Well, it's black.
I almost took your joke from you.
No, they make a black RE20 as well, so not to get confused. But this one has the neodymium magnet in it, like the RE27.
I can't pronounce that word. I always say neodymium. So I think that's what in Finding Nemo.
Yeah. Anemone.
What are some unique? Okay, you can use it for a podcast.
So it still works for podcasts, but some of the ways that they built this one, it has a more broader use where you can use it on some lower end stuff like bass guitar amps, kick mics, floor toms, or whatever else that your mad scientist brain could want to do.
Don't forget. Audio is both a science and an art. Sure. You could put 58s over on anything, 57s on anything. Whether it sounds good, that's subjective. So that's the thing. It's just like mic manufacturers, they'll make specific kick mics, but you know, somebody somewhere is going to be like, man, I like how that mic actually sounds on my vocals, and they use it.
Rules in the audio world are meant to be broken.
They're 100%.
Yeah.
Well, what's funny, something just came to mind. When doing my research for the RE3, RE20 and 320 back when I was, you know, doing those crappy videos that if you're bold enough to go back and watch.
They're not crappy. They're vintage.
Okay. Please dog me in the comments. Make fun of my V-neck
what's
shirts.
what's that quote from the first Transformers movie when he's talking about the used car? Bumblebee,
it's custom faded.
Custom faded, yeah. Those videos were custom vintage.
Paint job's faded. It's custom. It's custom faded. Oh my, that's extra.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. But that's the thing. When I went and looked and did some research on that, I found that first of all, I think James Brown was using these. I think for backup vocals on live at Monterey, and then
1981.
Did I get that right?
Yeah, it's on our. We have all this beautiful information on our site when you look at our mics.
I didn't even. I wrote that, so
yes,
I didn't
you
even,
did.
Okay, I still remembered it. But then it was also talked that no one made like a specific mic to kick drums. Mm-hmm. This one was used quite a bit too.
Yeah.
So on the 20, still both of these are dynamic. Mm-hmm. Both of them use cardioid pickup patterns. Both of them have pretty, I'm going to go off axis here, pretty good off axis stuff going on, fairly flat. It's just kind of flat, but it's like a little bit bumpy along its frequency response on the graph. But a lot of times it makes sense because like our gain, I can't remember what you said the gain was on that, but you usually have to bump these. If you have good pre's, then you're golden. But sometimes you have to put cloud lifters or it's called an inline. I should have grabbed one of those, but an inline preamp. So inline preamps are you're putting them in line. So from the mic goes into inline pre. I need to do some videos on these, and then the output of that goes into your interface or your console, but it lifts the gain, and some of them can even color the microphone in a different way. A lot of people like how cloud lifters sound, but other people make them Soyuz, SE. There's a whole bunch of them, and they got really popular in 2020 when everybody went podcasting.
Everybody that was doing everything on Zoom or Teams or whatever.
Right. So it's funny, you see SM7Bs a lot, EVRE20s. You don't see the 320s used as much, unless people at the time they just wanted a different color. They just use the 320. In a blind shootout, funny enough, it would be really tough to tell which mic is which. Yeah,
the only big difference is this one has a switch for kick mics that drops it down to 30 hertz.
Okay,
where traditionally on the normal setting, and then for the RE20, it's at 45.
That's it. Okay, that's what I was going to look up the difference. Yeah. This just has a roll off that rolls off like 400 or something. Does that sound crappy? Does that sound crappy? It definitely sounds thinner.
Yeah.
And these both the 27, 320, and the 20 are all good with proximity effect because like I've been moving in and out now. Of course, dude, if you're like right up on this thing, it's funny. Just the way it handles it is better than a lot of. As that was a 58. If I had a 58 to AB, you would definitely hear the proximity effect on it. But dynamics and all, if you like on a podcast or something like that, you probably notice you don't hear too much of this room. Like I can hear the reverberation just from being present in the room. I can hear some little bit slap back and whatnot. But if you're in a room with not the greatest acoustics, dynamics are definitely the way to go. Just to keep in mind, they're far less sensitive. You want some fun facts, like if you ever run like microphone Jeopardy.
Okay, we're ready.
Okay, so. EV's been around since the 1920s. Now they weren't known as that, of course. What's crazy is, and this doing my research and whatever on this, Newt Rockne of all people inspired the name Electro Voice. So you know who Newt Rockne is, right? That legendary coach from Notre Dame.
Yeah.
Okay. They're from up around that area in Indiana.
Okay.
So they made in order for him to not lose his voice during practices, they made a microphone system for him to call out plays and all that stuff, and he called it his electric voice.
I see now.
Yeah, so that's where it came from.
That makes total sense.
Yeah, and like all companies, like as they go through the years to, either keep the doors open or they get offers. Telex ended up buying out EV, so Telex was the EV distributor forever. Then Bosch bought Telex, so now EV is technically part of the big Bosch family. So if you want a router. And it's like a chainsaw or a table saw, or a microphone, you can go to them and get all the same thing. But a little weird, another fun fact is I actually have this is like this vintage. It's like
don't mind Steven grabbing the potato masher grenade behind him.
I'm pulling out a weapon. Can you see? Is this in frame? Cool. So this is the EV664 shotgun. It probably needs some work, and I don't have the preamp that actually goes with this to make it work. If you know somebody and you find one of those laying around, I might be interested in buying that from you. But these shotguns are found on like all of the I don't want to say late night, but the night TV shows like Ed Sullivan and all that stuff. Johnny Carson up on the boom. If you don't realize what those shows are going on, these boom mics above your head, and somebody's on like a crank dolly putting it in position in case somebody gets off their mic by accident or gets up or whatever. But I think, and all you YouTubers out there can fact check me, I think the bigger brother of this is 662. This is 664. Is actually, I think it's the only Academy Award winning microphone. So you need to look that up. I didn't get a chance to look that up, whether it's the only one or not, but it definitely won an Academy Award. So that's kind of neat. I love it when technology is recognized, just kind of like David Royer in the 121, and that won a Grammy. I thought that's pretty neat. Sometimes you don't realize like anything about these manufacturers and stuff until you kind of take a deep dive into them. Overall, these mics in general, they're not like terribly expensive. They're definitely an investment. I know yours is like in the 300s.
Yes. So mine is 315, and the RE20s are 449, so just under 450.
Interesting. Well, and as always, you can just go to our website and give them a try.
Or you could just rent them, with the code RENT15.
Hey.
And take 15% off.
Ooh.
And not have to buy it. You can just try it out and see if you throw one of these bad boys on a kick, or, you're doing something in the studio.
Hey, and we're going through a Mix Pre 6 from Sound Devices, and man, I don't think we need an inline pre, but sometimes some of the interfaces might have a weaker, just a weaker preamp. You might want to try like a cloud lifter or something, something in that nature. But yeah, man. So like, fun facts, fun facts from these mics. Gosh, I think that's all I got on that.
Yeah, I think it's
emptied my brain.
Yeah, I think we're good on that. So let's go back to 2019. Start off the year, and MXU was one of the first things that you kind of ran into, correct?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because like they had kind of the year already, I think more or less planned out, but 2019 was going to be, I felt like was going to be like a big year. 2018 was a great year for them. Mm-hmm. So 2019, I was like, man,
was that the one where they had the bus?
Oh no. That
was later.
That was 21.
Gotcha.
All good. I believe I didn't go to one of these, but I believe they did their first or maybe even second MXU All Access.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah.
And I didn't go.
That's the one in Nashville where they had the kind of like the giant, like everyone brought their files and stuff, and they just went through, and it was just like a intensive for mixing and all that stuff.
Yeah, I think Jesse got to go. So I want to say they did at least 2 of these before I got a chance to do it myself. There's a chance they actually did it in 2019. Mm-hmm. I just there was really no reason for me to to be there, but. Yeah, we headed, just like the previous years, we headed back to Southern California, and This time, instead of being at the main campus of Saddleback, we're at one of their satellite campuses in Anaheim. So it was nice to be part of the same family there, but just at a different campus. It was right across the street from Angel Stadium.
Nice.
It worked out for living arrangements because NAM was the next day, so you didn't have to change hotels.
That's awesome.
And just from what I remember and everything, that's right. I remember the cake because they were celebrating like their birthday, MXU's birthday, so from 2016, this was, technically their third birthday. So definitely reason to celebrate. Things don't necessarily stick out as far as things happening because I was a little bit distracted. Attendance was great. Definitely saw a rise in the attendance, but I was slightly distracted because I received a text that day, and it's funny when it's almost like when you get those emails from like a Nigerian prince.
Oh yeah, where it's like, hey, I really, I have all this money. I have $5 million, but I can't access it. Can you send me $2,000 and I'll send you $1 million back, kind of thing.
Yeah, I thought it was kind of like that. However, remember we've talked about how we've worked on both our relationship with obviously our customers or future customers, but also like our vendors. We want to have good relationships with them too. Well, I've been pushing for specifically like Earthworks, DPA, Mojave is like, hey, don't try to do demos on your own. Let us kind of more or less refer people back to us.
Yeah.
Because they don't know who people are and they don't really have a system for that, or it's very kind of archaic where they would have somebody's license. Or not a license, just they would hold on to their credit card in case they didn't return it. But there was no like, hey, this is coming back on this day.
Well, I mean, for someone who's just in the process of selling microphones, it's kind of a whole clunky thing to figure out how to do demos and all that kind of stuff and loaners and
they could be gone for months.
Exactly.
They could get lost on a tour, and it's just like, are you really going to charge?
Mike Reynolds, it's really easy for us. We already have a system in place. It's basically a rental in our system, and so it's able to be managed, shipped, checked, all that stuff.
Yeah, and obviously it's gotten better, more barriers. I get that's. Oh man, as far as dealing with loss and all that stuff, it's just like, hey, what's funny? I feel like I can deal with the occasional drama of that nature, but Earthworks, I got a text from Kathy from Earthworks. I miss her a great bunch. She was our sales rep for Earthworks, but sends me a text and was like, hey, I got this guy and he's looking for mics for the Super Bowl, and I'm like, you got my attention. Super Bowl is one of those iconic events where I feel like everybody has a party, whether they like football or not.
And I just want to preface this for the crowd out there. Steven's a Patriots fan, and this is right in the middle of them just owning every Super Bowl.
That was Tom Brady's middle finger year.
So this was even more juicy than just like the Super Bowl for Steven. Yeah, it was personal.
I got to be honest, my identity was actually wrapped up in being a Patriots fan. I would take losses so personally. I would not watch sports until like March Madness.
Oh yeah.
I just, oh my gosh, and I did not like who I was, and sports can sometimes be, especially sports fans, you can be polarizing. It's like I better not tell people I'm a Yankee fan, but because it can be polarizing.
Dude, well, even
I hate that guy.
Right now, you guys obviously know by the time this comes out who wins, but the finals are happening right now, and I'm not emotionally attached because we're in Oklahoma watching the Thunder. Yeah. I have to watch it on ESPN or have it on ESPN and just refresh every 30 minutes, and it's like if it gets to the end of the game and they're leading, it's like then I'll turn it on and watch it. But I just can't emotionally go through that if it's like they're just getting tanked.
Oh man, it's tough, and that was hitting all kinds of boxes for me, and I'm just like, yes. Whatever we have to do. Yeah. And part of that was I knew Earthworks was willing to do whatever they had to do. So we were both like, hey, let's get him what he's asking for. So The gentleman that I was put in touch with, it's funny, we're great friends now. His name's Dan Dwyer. So I didn't know him, and I don't think I ever actually talked to him other than emails and maybe some texts or whatever. But he was helping rebuild the signal chain for the Super Bowl that year, because in previous years it was mics that weren't as good.
Yeah.
Again, I won't say brands and all that stuff. Consoles that were cheap and noisy. And so they wanted to clean all that up, and he introduced Yamaha, and of course we're on these little Yamaha MG12s, and like they're very clean, quiet. Because before I was on Behringers, I was like, "Is there something wrong with the mic?" Oops, I said a name. My bad.
Yeah, those Eurodesk have that really nice ground hum to them.
Yeah, and I was like, man, hey, I used them for a while. That's all I could afford. I couldn't replace all this stuff. And then it was just like, we need to level up a little bit. And granted, if an X32 would have been great, but that would have been overkill.
Oh, dude, yeah, producer. There would be no room to check stuff.
No, I needed Digico 338 to check that one.
Yeah.
No, so anyway, they wanted to make improvements, and I was like pretty impressed with just the process of how everything has to. So he's working for a company called Freeman. Freeman actually puts on they actually put on. I think they put on Infocom. They put on NAM. So they more or less put on the Super Bowl as far as everything from I think it's like everything from like signage, but. Focusing on this specifically, there's something I just wasn't in tune to was Media Week. Like, I was wondering why they needed them so early. So I forgot how many at the time, but it was maybe a dozen or something like that. And I don't think we owned any FM 500s at all. But that's
just shocking if you knew about how much we have on the shelf right now.
I know, man. You know what's funny? Hindsight was like, should have used the freaking FM 500.
No, dude, we could have.
But it's all good. Maybe I could do a review on the newer mic that's out.
Yeah.
But again, there's curiosity, things that I know now, but what I didn't know then. So there's they were prepping for Media Week, and was that in Atlanta? I feel so stupid. They were playing the Rams. No, they were playing the Rams, and it might have been need a little fact check help.
Yeah, it was at the Mercedes-Benz Stadium.
Nice, and that's so crazy.
Great stadium.
That's right. They were playing the Rams, so like we're in Southern California, and it's like let's go Rams and all that stuff. But I didn't. None of this was like guaranteed. It was just like hey, here's what. Sent him a quote and all that stuff, but Earthworks was like, I think I worked the deal out where I bought like half of them and they loaned me the other half or whatever. We just like, they wanted their mics. If this guy wanted their mics, they wanted to make sure that there was no obstacle between, and as far as getting in the way of him getting those.
Yeah.
And it was kind of funny. We tune into Media Week. And I'm at home, and there's Rob Gronkowski on like one of our FM 500s, and I'm just like, that's ours.
Oh yeah,
we're only like 4 years old, and again, the Super Bowl in my mind is kind of the biggest event on the planet because a third of the country I think watches that event.
Yeah.
I mentioned earlier it didn't matter what team. Sometimes people watch it for the commercials.
Oh, dude,
the freaking halftime show is the most criticized dang show up and down. You love it or hate it. That year it might have been Lady Gaga.
That sounds familiar.
Yeah, test my memory, man. See how I do. Because when you say, hey, I got mics at the Super Bowl, they're thinking halftime show. I'm like, nope, not me. That usually comes from the production company or the tour itself. Some artists own their wireless. Like I know Beyonce owns a good chunk of hers. And I think maybe Lady Gaga owns a decent amount of her stuff too.
You're wrong, by the way.
What?
It's Maroon 5.
Oh yeah,
with Travis Scott.
Is she the next year?
I think so. Yeah, because I remember that one.
Oh, that's right. Okay, I remember it now because I don't know. I always get jealous when Adam Levine takes his shirt off. I was like, man, I need to work out.
You just need some more body tat, Steven.
Oh my God. So, dude, it's really cool to see, and then to just kind of be a part of that, because it's a boost of confidence. You feel like, especially because the mics still have got to get there.
Yeah.
Got to get there on time and say where they're going to be and all that stuff. And then it got, them an experience with us, the Mike and Ike's, the communication and the process. Things like that. And I ended up making a really dear friend of mine in Dan Dwyer, it seems like once a month we're hearing from him about something.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, he's great. And the next year, dude, he gave me like a full behind the. Well, no, might have been 2020 or 21. Dude, he gave me this awesome like behind the scenes Zoom call thing.
Oh wow.
Yeah, so because it was the year the Bucks were in it, Tom Brady and the Bucks. Yeah. So yeah. Anyway, really, really cool. Just good relationships keep spawning other good relationships, and not only did that connect us to Dan and stuff he's got in the future, but also like the people from Freeman reach out for other stuff throughout the year, and we just we turned into like, that was kind of like the first production company that really was reaching out to us for stuff, especially in the corporate world.
Yeah,
we found a little bit of a niche where we're plugging holes for other production companies,
especially with some of the specialty stuff that we have, because a lot of these other, even like rental houses, won't carry the amount of DPA, earthworks, stuff like that we have.
Yeah,
and so it's definitely the sub rental game is awesome.
I didn't buy my first like 58 for like a year. You think you'd start with that? I was like, no one was asking for it.
Yeah.
So that was kind of just something new and different. But that was a little bit of a distraction, right? Just before NAMM. But I think what was great about that is I was able to get FaceTime with Earthworks while I was at NAMM.
Yeah.
To talk to them about like, hey, here's what I can do, here's what I can't do, and that turned into 2020, 21, 22, 23, 24, even up to this year.
Yeah.
And I feel like the number of mics keeps increasing.
It was funny this last year. Yeah, it was this last year. I was able to, you talk about like the star factor, seeing Rob Gronkowski, use it. I was able to rub it into my wife's face because she's, like most people my age, your wives are Swifties. And so I was like, hey, I have a mic that Swifty's boyfriend, probably put his lips on it. So.
True. I mean, you think about it, it's funny. I was like, man, I wish I would know exactly what number that was, because it's like Tom Brady, Julian Edelman, Travis Kelce, Mahomes, is everybody, right?
Oh, yeah.
That's really cool. But Dan was always so awesome with sending us pictures, because like people thought I was there, and I was like, oh no. I not for that.
Yeah.
I would. Don't get me wrong. I would love to go hang, but the Super Bowls, until like the past couple of years, they added the 17th week. They're always right on my second oldest daughter's birthday, and I was like, I'm not. I can't go anywhere for that. So unless I brought her,
Georgia needs to become a avid football fan.
Right. It's okay now because it's like what, almost Valentine's Day.
Yeah.
Super Bowl. So that's. Yeah, gosh, just thinking about that, man, it can be really humbling. Just like to go, what you set yourself up for, not realizing what you set yourself up for, and we're ready to answer that call. And it's funny, that was just the beginning of like other important events calling us and trying to use us, and I just appreciated that they look for us every year and count on us every year, for that. Because again, it's quite a bushel of mics. Next year, because the FM 500 is being retired, they'll have to be the FM 5s, I think is what they're calling them.
Yeah, they have like a whole new SKU depending on the
FM
length of it and all that.
True, and we have to adapt to that as well. But it's definitely a better product. I obviously got to do a review on those suckers really, really soon. So. you know, NAM was kind of a blur. I was looking back at pictures and I'm like, I looked at some Audio Technica stuff because they changed their capsules to a 3-ring standard. So I was like, sweet, more capsules for the pile, or for the bucket.
Yeah, for the bucket.
And some it was a little bit of discovery, but my head, where my mind was just like, how soon can we get those mics? How are we gonna pay for them?
Yeah.
Things like that. Obviously, I tell my partners about that. And everybody's, kind of freaking. I was like, slow down. It's just the mics during media week and after the end of the show. But the pictures Dan sent were classic and iconic. I couldn't have taken better ones myself. And that was kind of the only thing is you could not post anything until kickoff. Yeah. And that was like the only rule I had to follow, which was great. I was like waiting with the draft. Waiting, kickoff, bam. Yeah. Gone. And it's funny, at the time, that was the most liked post we've ever done, at the time. Yeah. And they're just fun to do. It's not why we started. No. It's a byproduct of why we started. And I'm glad because church production community is first, because we honor our roots first. That's one of our core values. And all the others that come to us, they get to enjoy the overflow of that, that relationship, and they get a taste of our differences as well. So there was another little bit of distraction while I was there too, and we kind of talked about this the last year. I mean, the end of the last year, and that was transformation. Yeah,
back at their original space.
Yes, the warehouse market.
Yes.
Yeah, man. So you were involved with that.
Because at the time, Stone and all the Church of the Move team was kind of helping kind of nurture them in that space, trying to help raise the production value and the excellence in that space, because, they were just growing at such a rapid pace at that time. Yeah. And, and so Andrew was there. Jesse was also there a lot. I think Andrew was running a lot of the rehearsals and stuff. I know you guys facilitated buying a bunch of gear, mics and stuff.
Yeah, dude. So that's probably why NAMM was a blur too, because there was like most of the day I'm sitting at a friend's house, and I'm just getting pricing and quoting and stuff like that, and for all the stuff they're asking for, and it wasn't anything crazy. They we mentioned their mics and ears were really close, and stuff, and so it was just what they needed to just again to level up from where they were. And it's funny, I barely even remember what they used to have, but it was not. I think they might have been all on wedges. I think at the time,
there was wedges and stuff.
Okay, brutal, and they might have been on a lot of wired mics too. And it was great. Our church did a lot, and to come alongside, a newer church in town, and to help them, because like they're going to reach people that COTM, just Church on the Move, I'm used to calling it by its initials, isn't probably as good at, or some people, it's like, I love what, at the time, Transformation was passing out these not my cup of tea cards. So if you go there and it's just like, not my cup of tea. And they gave you, hey, Victory Church and Church on the Move. And it was like, oh my God, who does that? Yeah. And so for them three, Victory, Church on the Move, and Transformation, to just be so supportive of one another between Whit, Pastor Mike, and Pastor Paul, I thought that was really cool. And so it was great. This is our first, it's funny, now that I think about it, buddy, this is like a precursor to something we ended up doing later. I never really thought of rentals was that thing. I never thought about like the sales side, I guess, so much of it. But as far as being supportive, if we can be the people also putting it in too, that's great. But if that doesn't work, a lot of people are self-sufficient. They just need the stuff and they can put it in themselves. But we did some other stuff that no one saw. I think one day I brought Matt over there, and we weren't very busy. And dude, we cleaned out their cage, and you know what I'm talking about.
Oh yeah,
that cage full of stuff. It was, and I made a junk pile, I made a keep pile, and I made a need to sell pile for them. I helped them like just at least weed that out, because sometimes just taking that step to just take a layer off. It's funny. It just anyway. It felt like it helped. But
this is like before like church gear was a thing.
Correct.
All that kind of stuff, and so. Like, I feel like every church in the country just had a closet full of, I wouldn't say necessarily all outdated gear, but just gear that's not in use, not needed anymore, that just didn't have a home and was just collecting space.
Yeah, and I guess if kind of what we're talking about, I didn't plan on talking about this, but, that was, if you listen up to this point, I used to be at Dry Gulch USA along with Christian, and I was worried my first year that like, oh crap, when, in between the summer and next summer, if Christmas Train wasn't there, I was like, I'm going to end up digging post holes, castrating cows.
Out there laying sod, digging post holes.
Dude, you think I'm joking?
Yeah. They had all hands on deck, these kind of events.
I was like...
Baling hay, which I got roped into one time.
Yeah, and I was like, hey, I'm down for that if I don't have other stuff going on. But I was just like, man, when I was initially brought on, there was just closets full of stuff. And I was like, man, I'm not going to throw this in a dumpster. It's valuable to somebody. And then that's where I was just like, you know what? I'm going to try selling this stuff on eBay. Yeah. I'm so glad I did that for a couple of reasons. Taught me stewardship, number one. Well, dude, you don't realize how much it added up.
Oh.
And then Andrew brings me a van full.
Yeah, was it a Novason console that you had to sell at one point?
Oh, that piece of crap.
That was just huge, and somebody bought it, built a crate for it. There was some really old movers that you had to build a crate for that were like ginormous.
Verilites.
Yeah, Verilites, yeah.
Yeah.
All the old COTM PA, the SLS stuff. All of that with all the amps and all that.
That had ribbon drivers in it, which was like, I know there's some bougie guys out there that are going to want these ribbon drivers.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and the remodel, they were going to drop those from the ceiling. I was like, wait. Take the components out first.
Yeah.
There would Macaulay components would show up, and it just, man, and it just would add up. I remember Clark Technic stuff, Personos comp gates and things like that. It would add up. But it's like, if... somebody like, it's funny, not trying to like plug somebody like church gear or anything like that, but it's actually great for them to come along and be like, hey, if you don't have time to do it, let us help you do it.
It's great. Like even when I was in Georgia production directing, they helped me offload some stuff that was like, for there, it wasn't just an issue of like, we don't use the gear anymore, but it was like this huge projector that was taking up all the space, and they just recently went to an LED wall. And so like being able, like on the stewardship side, there's the money side of it, but also just like, you have limited space in these churches and stuff. You might just have a production closet or whatever. And it's like that space is valuable for being able to do all the other stuff and keep stuff clean and being a stewardship of your areas.
And for us, it ended up being like another touch point in the relationship.
Yeah.
Like, and it ended up, and that's something I won't spoil until a future episode that ended up paying off. But it was a good exercise and funny, and like customer service, talking to people on eBay, which like there's a lot of weirdos out there.
Yeah.
But international. It's true. International shipping, things like that, and how that works. And look at, we're not necessarily doing international shipping now, but we're doing a lot of logistics stuff.
Yeah.
And I learned my packing technique, which became part of how Mike Reynolds does a lot of stuff. And that anyway, great experience in accounting for it and being transparent with our accounting team at Church on the Move. Just sometimes the space is worth more than the gear that's just sitting in there collecting dust.
Yeah.
It's like make 3 piles and figure it out. Some stuff just does need to go in the dumpster or be dropped off at a recycling e-waste center or whatever it is. I think I brought home some crappy lights from somewhere, and I just let my son here's a screwdriver. Have fun. Just take it apart. Don't plug it in.
Yeah, cut the end off the light. And like,
yeah,
here you go.
like break the IEC socket off. Like don't do what I did. I tried to made one of those little 9-volt buzzers in shop, and I was like, oh man, I don't have a battery. Oh wait, I'll plug in this freighted cord. My dad was like, walk your butt to the store and get another fuse, because we had a fuse box.
Yeah.
That's too great. But the overall, like the overhaul that we did overall for TC that we were part of, obviously they were able to redo their PA in that small space. I think their team put up some more screens because the viewing angles were terrible.
It was such a wide room.
Very.
Too. It was super wide.
And poles everywhere.
Yeah.
But I just remember it helped them level up, and of course things would really crank up.
Oh yeah.
As the year progressed. So the in between season of the previous year I went to all those things was just really working together with Matt and I, and putting together rentals. I wish we had a room like this. That would have been really great.
Yeah.
We just had that little office.
Yeah, I think we showed a photo in a previous episode.
We did. Yeah. Okay. Just being and just figuring that space out.
Like Matt was putting rentals together on top of a Husky drawer set.
Yeah. Hey, and we still had the customers that I mentioned from our first couple episodes, like Village Church is renting from us still. Yeah. Soul City Church is still renting from us still. Daniel Dixon up at New Spring, Wichita. There's just some of those repeats, and they meant a lot. And to be to not be distracted, which how do I want to say this? I'm tempted to go to like, oh hey, there's an NAB, I should be there, and it's like, no, we need to stay here. I had to be careful how often I was like leaving Matt alone too. Yeah. The last thing you ever want to do is like, isolate them or make them feel isolated or left alone. Obviously, Matt is the most beautiful person in the world. And patient, understanding, all that stuff. But at the same time, I was like, I want you to know, I'm not trying to get away from you if I got to go somewhere to do something. But it was a good season to focus on our customers and our working relationship. A lot of our systems. Don't forget, our website still was not great. So there was a lot of loose ends I was having to always tie up because the website just sucked. Yeah. But I was the big anticipation. Really, it was like I was prepping for MXU all access happened. I feel like it did happen between January and May, but leading up to Philo and MXU Chicago. I so pumped about this event. Robert Scoville was going to be there, dude, and that guy. I have a lot of respect for people who can articulate what they're doing and why they're doing it in audio, and those were people. Pooch is one of them. He can tell you why, and Robert's another one too. And it's just like, oh my gosh, some people they mix well, but it's hard. They might not be able to articulate exactly what they're doing, but I feel like that takes another set of talent. So I think he was like guest number 1 or 2. I think maybe the second one on their podcast. Yeah. And if you have time to go back and listen to that, you're just grab a spatula because you're going to be peeling your brain off the wall. It's great, and that's what he does. Mixing for Kenny Chesney, and if he was with Tom Petty all the way up until he died. Yeah. And I think he. Yeah. So anyway, leading up to Philo, just super excited. My flight got jacked up. I think Daniel Cannell was on that one too. But I walked in, I had no perks. Like I didn't have like Clear or TSA or any of that stuff. I'm in this long line and I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm actually going to miss my plane. And by the time I got to the counter, I was like, I need to check a bag. I got all my Mike and Ikes and stuff in my large suitcase. And I was like, I'm not going to make it. And so I ended up actually deciding to just drive to Chicago last minute. So canceled my flight and ended up driving, good Lord, 10 hours to Chicago.
Yeah, man.
And it's funny. It went by quick. I kept checking with Andrew on the way there. I remember passing through St. Louis, and somebody actually hit a motorcyclist, and it was pretty bad. But got there around 11 o'clock at night, set up all my stuff. It's funny. I think I beat Daniel Cannell by like an hour because he sat on the tarmac forever.
Oh yeah,
before taking off. So yeah, man, that MXU was great. I actually brought out the 3D IOs.
Nice.
For the first time. And so I don't know why I thought I did in previous years, but I actually have recordings from that.
Which, if you don't know, we did a review of it, and it's up on the YouTube.
Yeah.
Definitely go check it out. It's awesome. It sounds so good.
I know.
There's no EQ on it whatsoever. It's what it sounds like. And, it sounds like you have a pack on, but it's literally like a floating head in front of you.
That was surprising. Yeah. You know, I was wearing that backup like lav just in case I got too thin. I didn't realize like how clear it could be when you're, and how sensitive they were. Yeah. But man, whatever they're doing, it's really cool. But yeah, that MXU was like kind of iconic. That room was so full. It was like 300 people. It was the biggest one I've ever seen us do. Goodness, yeah, because before we were at the Yellow Box, and so this is the second year they're at Philo, they're at Willow Creek, and Philo was to follow the next day. And I think that's when they did the podcast with Robert Scoville and Lee, and we did audience mics in the room. So that one sounds fantastic. You know, it's like, man, I wish you could have a live studio audience every time you did a podcast. Instead we have a couple of DJs on the other side of the wall playing whatever they want.
Yeah, you got Ludacris just bumping behind me.
So that's kind of, we're probably going to put probably stop around this time and pick up the remainder of the year in the next episode for time's sake. Sometimes it can be really hard to pack all this stuff in an episode, but that was such a strong MXU. That was such a strong Philo as well. Not knowing what our future with either one of those events were going to be, but and that was getting ready to change. But we'll talk about that on the next episode. Yeah.
Well, awesome. Well, thanks guys for hanging out with us today. Just a reminder, you can use Rent15 to take 15% off any rental. Your next one, you could save it for Christmas, or you can, treat yourself right now to an RE320, for your kick mic or whatever.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I don't rent this.
Yeah, the potato masher is not for rent. It's for it's for show only.
Can I give a quick shout out really quick?
We want to talk about Steven's shirt.
Yeah, so I just happened to be wearing the shirt today and just reminded me that our good friends over at DC Pro LVA, this is not a paid for thing or just but they've been so generous to help us with the lights because we're not lightrentals.com.
Yeah, no thanks. Hard pass.
Hard pass. Yeah, but they've helped us out so much to where these look as good as they do. So thanks so much. And if it makes sense for you to use them, they're only a website away, dcprolva.com. I'm pretty sure that's what it is. But yeah, killer swag. Yeah. So thanks, guys.
So if you gotten this far, you better subscribe because you've just watched a whole podcast. And make sure to like this video and hit that bell. Thanks, and we'll catch you on the next one.